good afternoon, and good evening to you all, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the last edition of the week of the Full 100. It is Friday, the 27th of November today. I'd like to say a big happy birthday to my firstborn child, my daughter Siobhan Melissa. She's 30 today. It's a milestone. I'm taken aback that it was 30 years ago today that I had my first of three children. Where does the time go? It's shocking. Guys, today's show is a look at the upcoming unlock next week, Wednesday, where you fall into that category, where you fall, what tier you might fall into depending on where you live. So, for example, I've got a friend who's just moved to Kent. Kent's moving to tier 3. Liverpool's coming down from tier 3 to tier 2. It looks like the whole of London's going to be on tier 2. Guys, we're going to take a look at these as well as a couple of other stories, and also the fights. Who knows me knows I'm a boxing fan. I'm a boxing fanatic. Huge fight, a fight that I wish had happened sort of 20 years ago. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. So we're going to feature a little bit about it right at the back end of the show. Guys, without further ado, guys, let's get down to today's show. Let me start with, you all know the lockdown ends on Wednesday, the 2nd of December, which is next week, Wednesday. We're going back into the tier system in the UK. London is, I believe, going to be on tier 2. But there is a slight twist to this lockdown, thank God. Non-essential shops, whether you're in tier 2, tier 3 or tier 1, non-essential shops are going to be allowed to stay open. So we're going to be able to do our Christmas shopping, from those little shops that they might not see as essential, but then you go to get your Christmas decorations or something from them. Thank God there will be no restrictions against what shops we can shop from as of next week. So guys, let me start with my first video that just brings you up to speed with what the UK is suffering at the moment. I mean, it's serious right now, guys. You all know I've been staying in touch with this whole thing. We had over 600 and plus deaths yesterday, Thursday, the 26th. 600 plus deaths. Do you know when last we saw those number of deaths? Back in May, April times. We haven't seen those high numbers. It's shocking that the numbers have just gone up so quickly. It's the speed at which it went up. It didn't go up that quickly the first time round. It crept up and then we got to the 600s and stuff. But this time it's just shot up. The last I looked, it was so like the 100 and something, 200, and now it's 600. So it's this second wave is a deadly one, guys. So I'll urge you all to stay safe, respect this thing. It's not a pandemic. It's not a planned thing against you. And those of you who have had it, you had it. You didn't have anything else but it. So guys, please take a look at my first video.
In England, a month-long partial lockdown ends on December 2nd and will be replaced by three-tiered restrictions based on local infection rates. And CNN's Salma Abdelaziz is in London.
It's similar to the system that we had before the lockdown, but this time it's going to be even tougher, even stricter measures at each of those three levels. And the government's already warned you are most likely, if you live in England, going to fall under one of the top two levels, level 2 or level 3. Let me just give you an idea. Under the country's strictest measures, pubs and restaurants would shut down except for takeaway, and households would be virtually banned from mixing together unless they want to stand outside in the cold. But here's the catch. Non-essential shops across all of these levels will open. So let the Christmas shopping commence, essentially. And that's sort of the idea behind this, is that the government wants to limit people's social interactions while allowing the economy to reopen at a time when people can make money and spend money. Yesterday, the death toll was announced to be 696, nearly 700 people killed in a 24-hour period. That's the highest death toll this country has seen since the start of May.
Welcome back, guys. So like I said, yay, the shops will be open. I think that's the greatest news of all, and that should cheer us all up. It's also going to be reviewed again on the 16th, which is 2 weeks later. So 2 Wednesdays from next week. If the numbers go down, we might even go into tier 1. Maybe we can have a rave or two over Christmas and New Year's. Right, let's go to my second video now, guys. This video now helps you if depending on what district or where you live, what borough, what area you live in the UK. This sort of breaks it down a little bit. You can tell where you are from the map on these videos. So I think this is quite important to see where you live. Like I said, Kent, and all those who live in Kent, you're going to tier 3. Not good. Take a look, guys.
A few areas will be placed in Tier 1, the lowest level of restrictions. People living in places including Cornwall will be allowed to meet up in groups of 6, both indoors and outdoors.
I think it's very good news for the people down here that the stores can open, everything could go back to some sort of normality.
Until the virus is back under control across the country, this disparity is not helpful.
The majority of England will be in Tier 2 when the national lockdown ends. Here, pubs can only open if they serve substantial meals, and people can't meet up indoors. Liverpool, the first area to be placed in Tier 3 back in October, is one of the areas moving down into Tier 2.
To everyone, I think the fact that we can now go out a little bit more.
More than 23 million people will be placed under the toughest measures. Many cities in the North and Midlands, including Manchester, Hull and Birmingham, as well as Bristol and Kent, will move into Tier 3, where people are only allowed to meet up in outdoor spaces.
It's really disappointing for everyone that's here. I mean, Tunbridge Wells have made such an effort.
It's never been fair from the beginning, and it's always been the North versus the South.
Right, like I said, I'm just happy for Liverpool. They've been. I'll tell you something. We're lucky in London, you know. Leicester has. If London has suffered what Leicester has suffered in the last month and a half, 2 months even, yeah, you guys will be protesting every day right now. Leicester's been on some mad lockdown for months right now, if not over two months right now. Liverpool's been on some strict lockdown for at least, I mean, we're coming up to the month since the lockdown, since this new lockdown. Liverpool was on tier 3 like a month before that. Leicester was on tier 3 a month before that, and another month and a half before that. So I'm really glad for, I don't know what the case is with Leicester, I missed that actually, but I'm glad for Liverpool, sad for Kent. I've got many mates who live in Kent. But guys, look, this pandemic's got the whole world. I mean, the next video I'm going to show you guys takes a look at France, Finland, Greece, Germany, South Korea and Japan. Now let me say this, other than France, all them countries that I just mentioned, Finland, Greece, Germany, South Korea and Japan, they controlled this thing on the first phase, and now they're on their knees. So it's like every country, even those who did well in the first run, are now finding the second wave a nightmare to handle, and everything they're doing, it's not having the same effect to shut it down like it did the first time round. And this is amazing. I mean, take a look at this next video, guys.
I'm Melissa Bell in Paris. France is on track to lift its current partial lockdown by December 15th, since it should meet its target of no more than 5,000 new cases a day. That's elsewhere. Figures continue to worsen. In Finland, for instance, they're now looking at fresh restrictions being placed there. Greece will be extending its own lockdown by a week.
I'm Fred Pleitgen in Berlin as Germany has surpassed a grim milestone, recording more than 1 million coronavirus infections since the beginning of the pandemic. Germany also recorded another single-day death toll record as well. All this comes as the German government has acknowledged that the measures that have been put in place so far, fairly light lockdown, have managed to somewhat slow down the spread of the pandemic.
I'm Paula Hancock in Seoul. Health officials are calling on South Koreans to cancel all meetings and stay at home, pointing out that meetings with friends and relatives are particularly risky. Now, this isn't just because new cases are well over 500 for the second consecutive day. It's also because we are within a week of almost 500,000 students sitting a nationwide college entrance exam. Now, even those who have tested positive for coronavirus can sit this test in hospital, moderated by teachers in full PPE.
I'm Selena Wang in Tokyo. Japan reports its second highest daily increase of COVID cases since the pandemic began, while Tokyo reports a record high increase. The Prime Minister has urged people to take further precautions and avoid crowded places. The government has warned of a possible state of emergency in coming weeks if COVID cases continue to rise. Japan has now reached more than 140,000 reported infections, while total deaths are over 2,000.
Welcome back, guys. The world's under pressure. When Japan and Germany and South Korea can be under the cosh. South Korea, this is the third wave, by the way. They handled the first wave, but great. Handled the second wave brilliantly. They caught it a mile away, like they saw it coming and handled it. This third wave they're on, they're struggling. So right now, the whole world's struggling, guys. Right, I'm going to change gear a second. I'm going to change gear on the next two stories. Like I said, I'm bringing you guys a Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., two of my superhero fighters growing up. I watched these guys, you know what I mean? So we're going to come to that as the last video. But before that, Michael Flynn, many of you won't know him, General Michael Flynn. I knew him leading up to the 2016 elections because he was a general under Obama. He was still a serving general under Barack's government. Yet he was every day on Fox News beating down on Obama, beating down on Hillary Clinton. I've never seen anything like it where a serving general can disrespect his commander-in-chief. Yeah. Anyway, he was talking up for Trump so bad, so high. Now, as soon as Trump won, Trump made him his national security advisor. Great role for a general. You expect that. Then it turns out this guy has been a Russian agent. He's been speaking to the Russians. He's been taking money for the Russians. Lied to the FBI about it. Trump got inaugurated in January. I think by March, he was one of the first people in Trump's government to get kicked out and labeled a thief, a liar, and probably an agent, a secret agent inside of the government. Sitting right next to, can you imagine a Russian agent being Trump's national security advisor? How glad would Russia be rubbing their hands? Yeah. Anyway, this guy is meant to be going to jail. He pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. Waiting to get sentenced. Trump orders the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, Bill Barr, to basically find a way to get rid of the case. Now, tell me, anyone who knows about criminal cases, when you plead guilty, you've pled guilty. That's it. You're just waiting to go to prison or get your fine or get whatever is coming your way for you're guilty for what you've done. Now, under those circumstances that this guy's pleaded guilty, Department of Justice was still trying to get rid of the case on him. Yesterday, 2 days ago, Trump has now pardoned him, full pardon on Twitter. Pardon a secret agent. And what's the right wing saying about it? The right wing are not saying nothing about it. I will want to see, make this be somebody else that's not on their agenda. Oh my God, the amount of fake news you'll be getting right now on the guy. Some will be real because obviously he did those things. But imagine all the bits and pieces they'll be adding on as well. Take a look at this video of how he pardoned this guy. And then the next question the right wing is saying is Trump should pardon himself. Ask yourselves, those of you who know about politics, have you ever seen a politician about to leave office and have the need to pardon himself? Let me let that question digest. Take a look at this video.
And we want to take a closer look now at President Trump's pardon of his one-time national security advisor, Michael Flynn. It's widely expected to be just the first of numerous pardons of Trump loyalists in the waning days of his presidency. CNN's Jessica Schneider has our report.
This presidential pardon for Michael Flynn abruptly ends what has been a 3-year legal saga. Up until Wednesday afternoon, a federal judge here in Washington was still deciding whether to drop the case as the DOJ had asked or to sentence Flynn. And that's because back in the spring, the Justice Department suddenly changed course, saying that they were dropping Flynn's charges, even though he had twice admitted to lying. And it was Judge Emmett Sullivan in D.C. who stepped in to second guess whether DOJ could even do that, since Flynn had previously pleaded guilty. And a Justice Department official put it this way, saying they would have preferred the matter to be resolved in court since they thought they'd be successful in getting the case dropped. But ultimately, they say this outcome for Michael Flynn was an appropriate use of the president's pardon power. Michael Flynn likely feeling completely vindicated now that he's been sheltered from any further legal fight or prison time by the president. But there are some questions now about whether Michael Flynn could face any additional charges under the Joe Biden administration, since we know that Michael Flynn had also admitted to lying about his lobbying work for Turkey, but was never actually charged with the crime.
Welcome back, guys. Let me repeat that question. Have you ever, if you know politics, have you ever seen in a normal country, not Banana Republic, because in Banana Republics, they just go on exile. They've done all the crimes they want to do. They just fly up to a country where all their money is, who will allow them to stay. But obviously, Trump can't go on exile to Russia. So he needs to pardon himself. Ask yourselves, these are the people that are talking up. I brought you the video of Laura Ingraham the other day. These are the people that are demonizing everyone else. When you look at their camp, they're trying to cheat. They're trying to steal. They're doolally. Yeah, they're all crazy. Conspiracy theories, talking about dead president from 7 years ago helped them steal the election today. They have a president that they're championing who needs a pardon for himself before he leaves office. Because the next administration are going to come in and find so much things that were done under these. And these people are championing this crew. Guys, that's the end of today's videos. I got one more video to show you, but this is the headline time now. And rather than just the the main headline is, don't miss the fight. There are many young people who never saw Mike Tyson fight live. They only saw him fight in videos because they were too young to see the real Tyson. Don't miss this fight if you're a sport fan. So guys, historic event. These two guys never fought because Tyson always was at heavyweight the whole time. But what's his name? Roy Jones Jr. came from super middleweight, from middleweight to super middleweight to light heavyweight and then to heavyweight, and he won the title at heavyweight. He won the title in all 4 divisions. So this is the first time they're going to clash. One's 54 years old and one's 51 years old. But the boxing authorities have done them a favor. They've made the rounds 2-minute rounds instead of 3-minute rounds, and they're only going to, I think, 8 rounds. Take a look at a little preview of the fight, and then I'll come back and say my goodbyes on the other side.
It's been 14 years since the baddest man on the planet, Mike Tyson, last set foot in the ring. But for his millions of fans, that long wait is now over. At the age of 54, Tyson returns this weekend for an exhibition bout against another legend of the noble art, the 51-year-old Roy Jones Jr. Both men are coming out of retirement to meet for the first time in their careers. While Tyson only ever fought as a heavyweight, dominating the division to become one of the most feared boxers of all time, Jones cemented his legacy by moving through the divisions, becoming world champion in 4 different weights. For him, the return to the ring hasn't taken quite as long. He only retired in 2018, and he says that even though it's only supposed to be an exhibition fight, it's still serious stuff. 8 2-minute rounds instead of the traditional 12 rounds of 3 minutes, and it's been sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, with both men agreeing to multiple medical tests.
Guys, we're at the end of the show now. I hope it's been informative. I hope it's helped to let you know what's coming in your area in terms of the tiers and in terms of the restrictions and everything else. And just understand as well, from the world view, we are not alone. The world's suffering on this second, some third phase. So guys, have a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you all after the weekend on Monday. So in the meantime, take care and God bless. See you all soon. Bye-bye.